We want to go now to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Senator, thank you for being here.
Good morning.
I think it's a sign of the health of our republic that those images we just saw still have the capacity to shock us.
Oh, I was there. I was within 30 feet of these rioters. I got to the floor of the Senate at 1 p.m., my first time as putative majority leader, because early that morning we had learned we had won the 2 seats in Georgia. I hadn't even given a speech when a Capitol Hill police officer with a bulletproof vest, submachine gun across his waist, grabs me by the collar like this. I'll never forget. It says, "Senator, we're in danger." We walk out of the chamber, we walk through a door, and we're within 20 feet of those rioters. Had one of them had a gun, had two of them blocked off the door. Lord knows what would have happened. One of them was reported to say, "There's the big Jew. Let's get him." Bigotry against one is bigotry against all.
Well, Senator, let's talk about danger. 1 year later, a majority of Americans think that that was not a singular event, but a mark of a new era where there will be more violence in this country. Do you share that fear?
I do share that fear. You know, when there's a mob, when democracy is at danger, it often starts with a mob. And not everyone is part of the mob, but people excuse the mob. People egg on the mob. Donald Trump is still doing that. And we're seeing violence still right now, or threats of violence, against election workers, poll workers across the country. And too many people excuse the mob, follow the mob. This is how democracy has eroded. History has shown us. Donald Trump has blame. You know, we had some great moments that day. When we went to that secret place, McConnell, McCarthy, Pelosi, and I said, we're going to come back at 8 p.m. and count the votes. But that moments of courage and outrage by McConnell and McCarthy are gone. They're following Trump.
They are gone. The message has changed from the Republican Party. Something that also has happened on the Republican side of the aisle is you have more than a dozen states that have, in their view, secured elections, election integrity, in the view of your side, suppressed the vote. You want to change that by passing a voting rights bill.
Yes.
What's your plan to get that done? And do you fear doing so could actually deepen the polarization that got us here?
If when people are eroding democracy, they're not aiming, first, there's no evidence of fraud, none, and yet they pursue
William
it.
Barr has said that. Donald
Yes.
Trump's Department of Homeland Security has said that.
Yeah. And it's who's it aimed at? People of color, young people, college campuses, poor people, urban people, all Democratic voters. They are trying to jaundice the elections so they're never fair again. We cannot allow that in a democracy. So on the 17th, MLK Day, I will put on the floor 2 bills that will allow the Justice Department to come in and undo these restrictive votings that are reminiscent of Jim Crow. And if we have to change the rules to do it, we will have to vote on changing those rules. We don't have all the votes for that yet, but we're fighting every day to get them.
Senator, I was in Washington, D.C. on 9/11, and
Yes.
I remember the aftermath of that terrible day was one where we came together as a country. In the aftermath of this terrible day, we have, if anything, drifted further apart. How do you change that? Can a politician change that?
Well, we try, and you got to speak truth. It's truth to power. And I just would pray to so many Americans who may have a different ideology than I have and Democrats have, not to follow Donald Trump. Donald Trump is spreading the big lie. He is sowing mistrust in this democracy. Already 2/3 of Republicans believe that big lie. If we allow these legislatures to undo things so unfairly, the rest of the country may not believe in our democracy. And then where are we? If we don't believe in the integrity of our elections, what happens to our democracy? So I am worried. I am worried.
It's a worry I share. When you look at the polls, though, the doubts in our system exist on both sides of the aisle.
Correct.
And polarization is not, we don't come to this place with equal blame, but it does take two to get here.
I am eager to work with Republicans and to work with the other side to restore our democracy.
How do you do that?
Well, the problem is so far, just about every one of them is so afraid of Donald Trump, even when they whisper to us that they don't like what he's saying, don't agree with what he's saying. They're afraid to resist him. He has a power over the Republican Party right now that is damaging. I am hopeful that brave voices like Liz Cheney, like Kinzinger in the House, that they will multiply and speak up, because the Republican Party in the past has always been for voting rights. The 2 Bushes were for voting rights. Reagan was for voting rights. You cannot take away people's rights to vote in the horrible and crass ways they're doing it,
Senator,
and expect our democracy to keep going.
But, Senator, you're blaming Republican elected officials.
Yes.
Is the blame really with them, or is it with the voters who they're responding to?
Well, the Republican officials have a responsibility to lead. Some of the voters go along with the Republicans, some don't. But people should realize when you don't stand up to the violence of a mob and the lies that a leader is spreading, democracy could erode. So we hope and pray that more and more Republicans, the number of people who think Donald Trump to blame on the Republican side is increasing, not by enough yet, but increasing. And this man who he's such an egotist. He can't accept that he lost the election fairly and squarely, and instead he's eroding our democracy.
Senator, I appreciate you being here with us 1 year later as we start to hopefully build the democracy back up again.
We need to do that, and I'm pleading with Republican voters, Republican people across the country, do not follow the big lie. Your ideology doesn't have to be the same as ours. We can disagree respectfully, but we cannot follow a big lie.
All right, Senator, the conversation will continue. Thank you for being here.
Indeed, thank you.
Nate and Gayle, as I send it back to you in New York, I think it's important to remember that we did do this to ourselves. We have it within ourselves to fix it, but it's up to us. Only we can do it, guys.
No doubt. And you said something that was powerful. We can disagree respectfully. Tony will be with us from the Capitol all morning long as we reflect on that day.